What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology, the Titans action, spawning in the top of the map in the blue color, playing as Hades. His name is Hell's Ravage. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Oranos. His name is Skady. We have another fabulous 1v1 with some of these older players. They've been around for a long time, and there's always lots of good games that they can put on because they just have so much experience in this game, and you can come up with whatever they really want to come up with and do, and it's very exciting. So I'm excited to see what they're going to come up with. Now, Skady, he is a random god talent in of himself. Normally, we see him dabbling with Odin these days, but sometimes he decides to shake things up, going in with some of his other gods. And every single god he plays is strong, and he generally comes in with a fairly fresh idea of a way to abuse said civilization. For example, when he plays Set, he'll do like some crazy stuff like villager rushing or tower rushing with the shifting sands early on an Atlantean player, and causing a lot of chaos that way. Can be very exciting. And then if we talk just a little bit about Hell's Ravage here, I don't know if you guys know too much about Hell's. He's been around since the game's inception, basically. Incredibly strong player in his own right. Just basically played with all the experts, takes games off all the experts through his journey in this game, and he's kind of been a random god player in of himself. I would say that he's got like stronger gods than other gods, but he's definitely capable, and it's just kind of part and parcel with this game, and that you play it for so long, and you kind of get bored of playing one civilization. You go into another one and learn what you can from it. Now, we do have Hades versus Oranos on Watering Hole. Unlike Zeus versus Oranos or Poseidon versus Oranos, this matchup is very, very different, right? You get a lot that comes from it, as opposed to like Zeus versus Oranos, where you want to go centaurs and make it work that way, and then potentially like Poseidon versus Oranos is even different in of itself because you have the lure and you can do a lot of different greedy second town center strats. Hades doesn't have either of that kind of greed, but he does have a very defensive orientated game plan, which can hard counter the Oranos game plan, which is essentially the Oranos game plan is kill my opponent before his economy gets to a level in which it can compete and overtake mine. That is kind of how Oranos works. Oranos is very, very different in that respect. And to some degree, Gaia and Oranos follow that model as well, except they've got some more nasty late game techniques which aren't available to Oranos, with Time Shift, Gaia Lush, etc., faster caravan speed. Another topic, not for now, but this is where it becomes interesting in this matchup. So the Oranos player is going to want to be as aggressive as possible for as long as possible and hit timings and kill the Hades player. The Hades player is going to want to deflect for as long as possible and make sure that he is continuously securing win conditions in this game, as we are actually seeing something fairly unique happening here from Skady, already venturing off into a different game plan here than normal, as he is not going to the classical age very early here at all. He doesn't have any upgrades. He's going for what seems to be a 5:15 advance time. Now, this could mean a couple of things. Maybe he's going to chuck a town center up while he's going to be advancing. Maybe he's going for a fast heroic, but who knows, really? We'll have to wait and see. So, if we check out the map that Hells is currently scattered, we check out this town center. It's an absolutely gorgeous town center with a nice wood line on it, nice hunt on it. The only problem is that I'm seeing for Hells is second gold mine. Second gold mine is an absolute nightmare for Hell's Ravage in this game, given both gold mines are on the bottom side of the map, away from the town center, away from where you can defend them. Then you have the gold mines in the middle, which are incredibly open, exposed gold mines. Are going to be very tough to hold on to. So we'll see if Hell's is going to be able to recognize this in this game and adapt accordingly, or if it's going to be his downfall. Skady now, he's got himself a lot of gold income, a lot of wood income, a lot of villagers on the food. Still no second town center getting thrown up, which honestly, a little bit surprised that he's went this way. I would have expected if you go this late up to the classical age, maybe getting the town center makes a lot of sense. But the Ajax is out here, going to be venturing over here to check out where this citizen is going, who is running away from this, but it looks like the Ajax has spotted the villager throwing the mana up, going to be getting that early pressure there as the mana is simply going to go up. He's going to have to start hopping around. Going to be a little bit annoying, but we'll see what Skady's going to do. He's chucks down counter barracks, military barracks here. Town center is going up as Hells has realized incredibly safe to do that against a 5:15 advance time. And the mana is going to start getting poked at just a little bit as the Minotaur comes in, and Skady is going to be attempting to get as many resources as he can from this citizen, get a couple of jabs, and then hopefully jump back into the mana, jump onto the tree, keep getting that value there while the units have to slowly but surely take down the mana. And then we see some units coming through for Skady, I'm sure, in order to hold on to this location. Still no Valor getting thrown up just yet. Could turn around and actually take a short fight here, but maybe Health feels like it's not going to be quite possible. Promethean now going to come in onto this location. Probably could have been an idea to actually delete that Promethean and have him run onto this location a little bit faster. The Chiron here to pick off some of Skady's units, and Hells did in fact use his Sentinels in his main base, going up with double military academy. A little bit surprised to see that, if I'm all honest. Like, I still think that the best way to play Greek, even with Hades, is going to be to chuck up a stable and a military academy. You generally don't want to get those archers out in this matchup very often until maybe a little bit later in the game, depending on what your opponent's composition is going to be. We do see the villagers getting pushed off of this forward hunt. That's a lot of villager walking time in the early game here from Hells to get onto this and then have to walk all the way back home. I think it would have been a better idea to just go for the safe food, jump a whole bunch of those villagers onto wood, and actually start thinking about farming here. And that will probably be a better position to be in than otherwise. Now, one thing that Hells can actually think about doing is utilizing Apollo in order to get himself a second gold mine as an idea. So you would attempt to go onto this gold mine. Skady would say no, and then you shift your villagers over here with an underworld, and you try and take this gold mine a little bit later. Well, we'll see what he's going to do, but I think generally speaking that underworld might not come. That Apollo might not be an Apollo. It might be something else. It might be the Aphrodite here, as we do finally see that second town center coming up. It's a fairly known strategy to basically get a handful of units out for the Oranos and then get double town centers behind it. Now we see one town center here for Skady. I would not be surprised to see a third town center. And here it comes with villager. No, it's not. I thought maybe the villager coming over here. Are we seeing anyone getting built? There is a different strategy that is possible here that I haven't seen all too much, but with 500 wood in the bank doesn't make sense to see that here. But that strategy would be a 2 town center fast heroic, or a delayed second town center fast heroic palace, skip straight away from these Terma that you built 5 or 5 is fine, and then straight into Destroyer Arcus and a big mid-game timing push there. So we're starting to see those farms coming up. Archery range coming down for Hells. I think this is a little bit early on the archery range. He does not need to be... He doesn't have the resources, essentially, to be spending on 3 military buildings at this point in the game. He's going to be having 2 town centers, which equals roughly 10 villages, or 8 villages on hunt, but roughly 10 villages on food. And then you have your double military academy, which is another 10 villages on food. And then you've got... Well, you've only got 25... 30 villages right now, so getting this extra archery range here when you need to be spending resources on upgrades and everything else seems to be pushing your luck just a little bit much here, as the town center has been completed here for Skady, and he is pushing around this side, checking out this location here. I wouldn't be surprised to potentially see a cheeky villager walk down here and maybe throw up a sky passage here. Because knowing that this gold... He doesn't really know that this is the only gold mine here, but he should have some idea that there is potentially going to be only 2 gold mines on Watering Hole. You can get 2, you can get 3. We do see a wall getting thrown up here as this villager is very sneakily placed And the villager will indeed get taken out. This wooden wall here is going to get taken down very quickly, as we see that Skady recognizes he can just go out the back way. No problems here. And he will attempt to run, but it seems like he's going to maybe get some shots in here as the hoplites are retreating away. These are Hades hoplites, not Zeus hoplites, so very, very slow at the 4.2 speed, and an initial shockwave getting thrown down here just to get a hoplite kill. Pretty wasteful shockwave, in all honesty, trading a third of a god power essentially for just a couple of resources there, which I don't think you really want to do too often, but he's still pushing back in, seeing what he can do. And we do indeed see that third town center up for Skady. And he is thinking about the next age here. He's got his armory up. The citizens are currently still building, so he's just focusing on this army. He's definitely going to be clicking up. Wouldn't be surprised to see either god option for the heroic age here from Skady, as there is his town center, and he can click up now through that one, as it seems like that's what he was waiting for. Okay, not just yet. And there's the Thea. So he is going through Thea. No Hyperion here. I actually like Thea a little bit more than Hyperion against the Greeks. I see Hyperion coming a lot of the times against the Greeks, but I actually like Thea just a little bit more, because the Greek player, while they want to get their heroes out, oftentimes they can't afford to, and it also does a lot more damage to do this. And getting out your Hesperids tree, your Dryads, can be absolutely huge in an attempt to win a game against a Greek player, just on the fact that all you have to do is snipe off the Ajax and potentially snipe off the Achilles. The Perseus is probably not going to make a lot of an appearance in this matchup anyways, and then you just win a lot of the time the fights, because of those Dryads just push your population above the limit by so much. It's such a great god power for the Atlanteans. So we are seeing the wooden walls now coming up for Hells. He is very aware that this gold mine is very important here, and he is still currently just throwing down farms. It's going to be a very, very slow process to get to the heroic age, it seems, as the Hesperids tree getting thrown down in his own base here. Still trying to deny this as much as he can, but I think Skady's understood this very right here. He understands this gold mine's not going to be expiring until around about, I'd say 13 minutes, maybe 14 minutes here, off of a 2-town center. That makes a lot of sense. We've got 4 military buildings now up for Hells, and his Terma just retreating back. More military buildings coming up for Skady. Now, Hells is going to potentially Hells could realize that he's got a bit of a timing here, because Skady, he's gone for a very fast heroic age in the grand scheme of things. 3-town center, 10-minute-ish heroic age is very fast. And he's got to be worried about two things here. Like, one is, well, Palace goes up. I can't get this town center. Palace goes up on this town center here, and it's going to be a difficult time. It's going to be 4 town centers versus 2 town centers. How do we get the town center back? There's ways to do it. But the more important one to be worried about is what is happening here. And that's an incredibly early Mythic age here from Skady. 3-town center Mythic age. Distract with these units. This is incredibly well played by Skady in this game thus far. Hells is kind of just got nowhere to go, and he's still getting value from his Terma here as those Toxotes are out. Retreating away, take a little bit of scratch damage, no problem. He's just not having to deal with units on his buildings anywhere. And now we're going to start seeing the Destroyer Arcus composition, which is going to completely annihilate this Hoplite Toxote composition of Hell's Ravage in this game. It seems he's still got to be careful with these units. Don't want to throw those away as he's taking just a little bit more chip damage. We do have a Stymphalian Bird flying overhead here, going to be able to push off this gold one. That's going to force the Chiron away from the army for just a little bit. And this is going to be tough, because he's got this what do you call, natural obstacle here, just to jump over, as we do see the Chiron coming back, and he can just kind of jump as he sees the Chiron come in, just retreat back over the river and wait for the Chiron to leave. So we can't start seeing the Arcus destroyers coming in as Skady now hits 145 of 145 population. Another Hesperids tree going down. This is a true Mythic Age timing here, which Skady is executing absolutely beautifully. And what I mean by timing, I say timings all the time, but what I mean by timings is essentially hitting a point in the game where you have a technology advantage, a military advantage, or an economic advantage, and you utilize that at that point in the game to get max damage done when your opponent is not prepared for it. And in this case, we're seeing a technological advantage in the Mythic Age going to be utilized with this unit. Huge shockwave coming down. Curse comes down there by Hell's Ravage. He's not got access to that underworld, which is going to be super important for him to get a town center back. So we do see the Stymphalian Bird flying overhead, going to be looking for a couple more villager kills over there. The Terma wandering in here. I'd like to see that get thrown down away from the hoplites here. These, like I said, these are not Zeus hoplites, but away from the army is always best. The longer he waits here, the kind of worse it gets for Skady's timing attack, as he's still trying to figure out a place where he can deal max damage, as the Terma was taken down here. The Stymphalian Bird still flapping over here in this corner, but the Chiron is scouting that one out, it seems like. So the Chiron will be able to take down the said Stymphalian Bird. You can see those Dryads are out right now. Skady's economy is absolutely huge, whereas Hell's is very, very much struggling here. He's realizing he needs to get his upgrades through, getting himself heavy hoplites in onto this location. The champion Arcus at 15 minutes into the game coming through here for Skady, as we see the restoration onto this location. Skady going to be having to retreat away now, as that's going to be too much for him to deal with. But he's still got tons of resources in the bank. He's got all the production coming through, making Fanatics here, a second palace coming down as well. The Lampeter, you've got to be careful with this. It's actually a high value unit. I see this unit get thrown away way too much here as he's trying to retreat back. We see the Chiron wandering in here, going to start shooting down at these myth units here, dealing a lot of damage. You do have the hero destroyers in this army as well, as Hells is desperately trying to hold on here, but Skady has now got himself fortified town centers, 150 population here, which is still going to be more than what Hells has got. Hells could be at 140 population potentially here, but the Hades army doing absolute work at this point though, and every time you kill a Hades unit, you get a potential Hades Shade going to be coming out of this temple, so you do have to be careful about this one. Now, luckily for Hells, or unluckily for Hells at this moment, he's got a lot of idle hoplites here, but luckily for Hells, he's got hoplites. Hoplites actually can defeat an entire Arcus army, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it if the Arcus are not ranging. So if they're getting attacked, essentially, the Arcus DPS is going to be huge. So you just need to make sure you keep having that front line, which is really important. So one thing that Skady might want to try here is, now he's got that ball of Arcus, is stop making Arcus, make Mamilo destroyers, and fill up that front line a little bit. Mamilo Fanatic destroyers, whatever you feel like, fill up that front line and live the dream. Skady now 150 of 180 population. Hells is playing this relatively well, to be honest, still trying to get himself to the Mythic Age, trying to figure out a way back into this game. We do see some villagers now making their way over onto this gold mine as a citizen. Going to be hanging out, spotting that one there just a little bit as this gold mine is starting to expire. And Skady still trying to push his way through here. He's got no armory upgrades here. Hell's on the other hand, he's got a couple of armory upgrades. In fact, he has Sarissa as well. We don't see that technology get researched very often at all. Sarissa is the hack armor bonus there, and you can see these hoplites, they've got 49% hack armor. That's absolutely huge, but Skady's dealing predominantly pierce damage to his hoplites, as we are now starting to see those Hades Shades coming through. I actually would have liked to see the other upgrade that comes for Athena, the Aegis Shield, I believe it's called, which is your extra pierce armor on your hoplites. Actually a very, very good technology. It's one of those technologies you would see players like AOM King grabbing every single game, just because it is so darn good and actually relatively cheap at only I don't get to see it. Let's check over here then. At only 300 wood, 25 favor. Maybe not that cheap, but relatively cheap in terms of resources that are abundant. And we're still seeing Hells attempting to get to that Mythic Age now. He's going through Artemis here. I still haven't seen Skady throw down his Tartarian Gate, which is incredibly worrying, as he hit a nasty timing but then didn't use his God Power straight away. It means that Hells has actually been able to hold a lot easier than he otherwise would have been able to, and maybe, just maybe, Skady is waiting for a moment in which he can apply pressure somewhere and win the game that way. We do see these walls have been set up over here to deny villagers out of Hells' base, and now Hells has got a very big question that he needs to answer, and that's going to be, how does he continue in this game? As the Tartarian Gate goes down in the main base, the villagers have been pushed off the gold mine. The villagers here retreating away as as the army here from Skady doing a lot of damage from the back. Those champion Arcus deal tons of damage, though the Hades medium Toxotes actually still do more damage than the champion Arcus. Mind you, the Arcus have a little bit more HP, but there's a big shockwave coming down. The Chimera coming in onto this position, going to be doing a whole bunch of damage there onto those Arcus. The hero Arcus do get converted here, going to start completely tearing through that Chimera as more units here coming in. The Tartarian Gate doing tons of damage here in the main base of Skady. Meanwhile, over here, a huge earthquake getting thrown down, taking down double palace here. Not getting any town centers like he might have liked to. Skady now going to go through secrets of the Titans. He's done a ton of damage. He decided to not continue building units here. Instead, going to get out his own Titan Gate in order to continue in this game and then repopulate his army. He's done so much damage onto Hell's economy here. Hell's is at 125 or 140 population. The Tartarian Gate is still powering through Hell's Ravages farming situation. His wood gather line over here. The villager being pulled over here. The Chiron coming through to start dealing some damage as well. He's going to have to get his heroes out in order to clean up these Tartarian spawns. The villagers are also going to find themselves falling while they're taking down this Tartarian Gate. I don't think the Tartarian Gate has got itself, I can't click on it, has got itself, well, it's got architects as well, so 3,250 HP on that Tartarian Gate actually, as it does end up falling here. And that's going to be, that's going to put a stop to to Skady's advantage here, as it's seemingly looking like Hells has managed to defend here. He's done a lot of damage, but he's still got this problem, this glaring problem of he doesn't have a gold mine. And while he can simply break down this wall and come over onto this gold mine here, he doesn't have one. He has to do that. He has to put the pressure on there. Maybe he goes for the middle gold mine, a little bit easier to defend, and I think it's probably going to be a better idea. But right now, Skady is going to have a Titan Gate coming through very, very shortly. Well, he's got the Titan Age researched. He's getting himself 3 palaces on this town center. Over here is completely open, though, and this could be a place for him to attack. We do see, oh no, we've got some docks with some heavy siege Bareem coming in for Skady. This is going to be incredibly annoying to deal with here for Hells. And has Hells spotted this or not? He has not spotted this. The dock is, it's a little light in the dark popping off there, but you can't see that from Hells' perspective. And that is going to be a very tough one here for Hells to deal with. We see champion hoplites have come through now for Hells as he's trying to find his way through, potentially getting over onto that Titan Gate. Not going to be able to get there. 3 palace here is more than enough. 1 palace here going to be dealing a lot of damage here as Skady's units retreating back. Oh, he could definitely pop out of this dock right now and start sieging away, as we see the fortress coming up in the middle of the map here, as Hells realizes, yep, this is the gold mine we're going for. Which means that Skady can force some very, very difficult fights here in the middle of the map. But right now, Skady's got how many villages on here? He's got, I can't do this math, 13 villages, 39 villages effectively on the Titan Gate. I was going to say Tartarian Gate. I tried to say it many times there and failed. On the Titan Gate. Effectively 39 villages there. So he cannot realistically maintain 180 population. So he's going to continuously be retreating. And oh no, okay. We don't even get to see it. I guess the siege Bareems come out and Hell says, yeah, it's too much for me. That's a little bit disappointing here. I would have liked to see just a little bit more fighting, as I mean, he could definitely have killed off this entire army by continuing to push in here and maybe try to take down this this town center here. Having these siege Bareems here do kind of end the game in a way, because how do you defend this? You have to repair it back up, and these things do a lot of damage. Even though does Hells have any upgrades? He doesn't have any upgrades on his town center, so it's going to die very quickly. So a nicely executed game here from Skady. Nonetheless, a really, really nice way to play around Hades' strength to the best of your ability, or actually play not necessarily around Hades' strengths, but more Hades' weaknesses. Hades' weaknesses being, well, he doesn't have those advantages which Poseidon and Zeus do have, which is like 1, Polyphemus is huge for Poseidon, or 2, Centaur are really, really important for or even hoplites for Zeus, those building killers that can just say, well, you're not going to fight me, no worries, I'm going to attack. And this is incredibly smart here. So essentially what Skady has kind of discovered in a way with Oranos against Hades is that the idea is not to really fight the Hades, but to run the Hades around in circles while you're preparing timing attacks from behind. And that was really, really smart here. I would have loved to have seen this game maybe a little bit. It would have been very different had there been a gold mine on this side. So for example, had Hells had Skady's map here with a gold mine right next to his town center here, would have been really nice. But I mean, there is an opening here, so it might have been the same problem nonetheless. But had the maps been reversed, it would have been interesting to see how differently things would have been playing out here in this game. But Skady gets the dub. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next game.